All right, so Agua Caliente fuel price changer monument sign. So this sign is going to be just like my boy Puffy. It's going to be all about the remix. So we're just going to be borrowing heavily from the Agua Caliente Cathedral City monument signs that have the removable big frame faces, although these won't be so big. And then we are, as you can see here, we're going to be borrowing from the Loma Linda Indio pole sign as far as this part here. And also the power supply kind of setup will be the Loma Linda curved monuments. So, but because I thought of all of it, I don't have to pay myself royalties, nor am I stealing from myself. So let's go over the lay of the land. This is just how I'm breaking it apart. You've got sort of a main frame, which is 14 inches wide. I'm calling this the upper main frame, and this is going to be the lower main frame. And then you're going to have a top hat, and you're going to have a bottom hat or a mid hat. That's this guy here, and that's this guy here. Then you're going to have 4-inch frames, which are designated by the 4-inch. And then you're going to have 2-inch frames, which are going to be designated by 2. And then you have a lower version of those 4-inch frames that are removable. So that's kind of how it all breaks apart. And then you're going to have 1/4-inch cores, 1/4-inch plate cores, just like the Indio sign. So keep an eye out for that. So let's do the lay of the land. So as you can see, I got the upper here specified by the upper. This is the 14-inch wide main frame. So all these parts go for that. The jigs are similar, but there's slight differences in where the holes lay out for all the sign. A lot of these will look similar, but you got to make sure that these go with the parts, with the section that they're with. So the things with the U on them, all these jigs, will make sure you go with the upper here. So as you see, these jigs will look similar as we go forward, but just make sure that that you don't interchange them. So you got your lower box, same thing, 14-inch wide. Jigs, again, jigs look similar, but they aren't. So just make sure you have all that. So the hat, this is the top hat. Construction is identical. It's just parts are a little different. So just how it sort of all goes together. But for the most part, the jigs, we'll go over that, how to identify these. But the jigs are the same for the top hat and the middle hat. But everything will have a T on it for top. So make sure top gets with top, and the middle bottom gets with the middle. So same thing here. You'll have bottom lower, and you'll have lower and bottom on there. So the 4-inch frame for the bottom, little shorty guy with face. You got pushies, and watch out for face there. Those are your brackets or your jiggies. This is your 4-inch cabinet. Everything will be designated with a 4. So these are for both sides. You'll just have strips of skin for that. So keep an eye out for these strips. And again, jigs they'll have a 4 on them. These are specific for this actual piece. 2-inch frame, same thing, but it'll just have 2s on it. And as you can see, it's all directional. Keep an eye out for all these jigs. These jigs are specific to the 2. So everything will have a 2 on it. So wash everything up, put all those together. Power box, only need one of those. And similar to Indio, Loma Linda, pole sign, you'll have these cores, and you'll have lift points. These are alignment jigs. We'll go over that. And these same thing here. These are like mount cleats. So we'll go over that. Keep an eye out for some 063 white. These are going to be LED boxes that will contain the LEDs for the fuel descriptors, regular, unleaded, whatever, diesel. And then over here will be the LED backers for the push-throughs, like we do. So 1/8-inch clear pushy backers, 3/4-inch clear pushies. So keep an eye out for those. And this is 3/16 white. Get these the first shop. These will have the vinyl on them for premium, regular. So we'll just start breaking it down by sections here. Lots to put together. So just like the Indio Loma Linda pole sign, you're going to work your way from the inside out. So you're going to start with this 1/4-inch core. It looks very similar, right? You're going to have 2 of them, one for the bottom, one for the top. Parts are over here, very similar. So you're going to go ahead and put this together and kind of tack it all together, slide that through, tack it up. And at that point, you can go ahead and start to build the frames around them. So you can see where all the verticals are continuous. So you'll start with those vertical pieces. You'll see where they dog bone in right there. So start putting all this together. Once this frame's all together, tack it up. you know, it's skeletal. It stays just like it is, just like the Cathedral City signs. Look for these guys. These are the cleats, 1/4 inch cleats. These are 3/16 Clecos. What you're going to do is slide these through, and you're going to go ahead and tack those in place to the sides of the sign here. And as you can see, what's going to happen is that is going to actually be the support that kind of holds up the face frames. So you'll have one in each corner here, and you'll have the just 4 total here and here. That way, this thing isn't completely reliant upon lining up these 5/16 just right. Plus, it keeps these, when you go to put these frames together, this isn't going to be like the Cathedral City signs where they stick out like 4 inches. The face frames will match the same size as this main frame. So this will force them to stay lined up perfectly. And then the 5/16 bolts up here and the riv nuts will hold it all together like the Cathedral City ones. But these pieces of 1/4 inch will keep it all lined up. So once you get this frame all put together, slide these through, Cleco them, and just go ahead and tack them in place. Same thing with the bottom one. You're going to have a top one and a bottom one. So it's the same procedure for the little guy down here. You're just going to put in this core, line up your dog bones, and tack it all together. And then you're just going to slide those cleat plates. They're the same for all of it. It's typical, and just tack them in place. And that's going to hold up the face frame, as you can see here. That'll have the dog bone notches that'll help, you know, hold it all together. All right, so once you get those frames together, let's talk about the hats, the mid hats and the top hats. So, real quick before we move on to hats, getting ahead of myself already. For this 14-inch main frame, you're going to have lift points. So those are just simple 1/4 inch plates that you're going to burn in. So you're going to burn a 1/2 inch nut. So look for these. There'll be a 1/2 inch nut spot here, just like we do for our Mjolnirs. So burn that on, and then you're just going to Cleco it in place and go ahead and tack it in well. It doesn't have to be super burnt in. It's just going to be lifting it. And then McMaster Carr, look out for these. These are similar to Renova, but I went ahead and got 1/2 inch ones instead of the 5/8 that are on the Renova. Just in case, you know, we'll keep them separate. That way, in case we lose one from the other job or whatever. So this will also let us have 2 different versions. So look for these 6-inch eyelets. As you can see, they will skewer through the hats, catch these bolts here. So these are one-time use to get this bottom section slid over the pole. Install takes them out, and then they can slide the main box on top. So anyway, I forgot to say that. So make sure once you get this frame built, go ahead and tack those in. So now moving on to the hats. The hats for the top and bottom are dimensionally identical, and sort of how they're built is identical. It's just that they have certain features that dictate where they go for where they are. So the top hat. So in general, let's just go over how it's built here. I have a little section over here where the hat is. Where'd you go? There it is. So you're going to build a frame. This is a 4-inch frame. That's this frame here. So you'll have this part there, this part here, this part here, this part here. And then depending on where you have mount frame part pieces and you have just normal pieces. The mount frame pieces will have riv nuts, or they'll have these dog bones, anything like that. So anything that's special will have an M on it. That's right here. So for example, the bottom one here has a mount there, a mount there, and a mount there, and a mount there. So make sure those mounts get in those places, weld up that frame, make it like that. Then what you're going to do is do this hat. This hat is in one piece. So you're going to do number 1, clamp, bend the outside, sort of like you do your blade signs. Then you're going to open the thing up all the way, slide it through. You're going to clamp on the inside and bend this up. And then you're going to open it up, slide it out, do the same thing. Make sure you clamp on the outside here first, bend it up, open the jaws, slide it in, and clamp on this side up to the line, bend it up. Then once you get that out of there, this will be sort of like, like a C shape here, like that. Then what you're going to do is go ahead and tack in the end pieces. So I made that to where it'll Cleco in, but then it has a spot where you can plug weld this together so you can get your gun in there, and make sure you kind of close up the edges, put a few tacks there. That will create a border, as you see, all the way around. It'll be like a 1-inch border all the way around. Then what you're going to do is test fit it first, but you're going to just slide this over, and it's going to slide over. You can see where it's just going to fit, and it'll just bonk right down. And so that's going to give us that little step structure, and it's going to look nice. So a little kind of, ooh, how'd they do that? So get that all done. So get your frame done, and then you'll slide this bad boy on there and lords it on real good, and then slide it on, Cleco it down, and then that takes care of that. Then you're going to seal up the bottom with just a solid piece of 090 that you'll just Cleco and lords into place. And so that's this piece here. So this is the bottom piece. As you can see, it says bottom. That seals up the bottom. The top seals up the top, and you have your frame. So as you can see there, frame, getting ahead of myself a little bit. So once you have this frame kind of all done, the inner frame, you're going to tack in this cleat. So we're going to have this cleat here. This cleat will line up the hat when you slide it on. So like this hat here, the cleat's going to stick up. This is going to be an alignment cleat that when they go to bring in this top box, it's going to notch right in there and keep it, solid left to right, front and back, keeps it where it's supposed to be. So for this hat here, for the bottom hat, it's going to have these cleats that stick up, and you're also going to have riv nuts in the corresponding holes. So you're going to go ahead and get that all done. So get that frame in there, get these welded in, get these little cleat things sticking up, put your riv nuts in. Then you can lords this whole assembly together, the bottom and the top. Then you're good to go. That'll be that guy. And then this hat is meant to be permanently mounted to the middle main frame, the 14-inch wide frame. So once you get this frame done, once you get this hat, you can go ahead and lords it on there real good, and then go ahead and shoot screws up and make sure it's just on there nice, because this is going to kind of become structural. Now the pole's going to do all the work, obviously, but once this bottom thing is on, the bottom frame is attached to the pole, then when you bring this down, we're going to have riv nuts for 5/16 right there and there. So that way, we want to make sure that this is on there nice. So that's the bottom hat. Permanently attach it to the bottom frame, and that's going to be that assembly. You can see where the cleat sticks up like that. So the top hat is meant to be permanent, but we're not going to lords it on just in case when you're bringing in these faces like this. So this is kind of how this is going to work. Just kind of a side note. So we're going to go ahead and attach the 2-inch frames to the 4-inch frames permanently. When you get to that point, we will, but the idea is that these frames will attach to the face, or to the main frames. The face frames will attach to the main frames. Too many frames. Underneath this top hat. Now I have 30 seconds clearance when you go to slide these in, but what might happen is this whole top assembly might be kind of in the way. It might be kind of tough to take these on and off. So the idea is to shoot these on with self-tappers and leave this on, and then you can access this face by sliding this out, and working it. But it might be too tight of a fit between there. So when time comes, you can go ahead and just make sure that this comes off, and then put these faces on, and then you can go ahead and put that on there like that. So that's the difference between these two. Is it's same thing. Weld up your frame. Yeah, there's your frame. So weld up your frame, but it'll have T for top pieces. The cleats are the same cleat, except I just flipped it around. So that way the cleat now can jam into the top of the cabinet. So that's the alignment hole for that top cleat. So that way, when you go to put the hat on, it should just kind of slot right in there and be nice and, right exactly where it's supposed to be. You'll have a top lid. When you take off that top lid, it gives you access to the 1024 holes where you can shoot screws right in through there. Bam, 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 bam. You'll just shoot screws all the way around. The lords is only for, to indicate lordsing on the bottom and the top pieces. That's all. Again, like I said, the top hat is meant to be removable, semi-removable. Hopefully you shouldn't have to take it off. But same thing, you're just going to weld up the little things, go ahead and clamp it all the same, do everything the same. As far as the jigs for both of them, when you have all the stuff, keep an eye out. You're going to have these chamfered edges on all sides. That will let you know that this is the hat jig. Look for the chamfered edges. Same thing here. Obviously, that's a very unique piece right there. So, but anyway, go through, collect all these clipped corners. These are the same jigs for top and bottom. So don't worry about it. So anyway, I think that explains hats. Like you see, the cleat for the top is going out the bottom. The cleat for the bottom is going out the top, et cetera, et cetera. This one has holes so you can access through for your lift points and all that. So, all right. So I think that's it for the hats. We'll move on to the frames. All right. So moving on to the 2s and 4s, the 2-inch frames and the 4-inch frames. That's these guys here. So we got a whole separate page for that. So the idea is we're going to have these price changers coming from Watchfire. So a side profile is like, it's just going to be a little box. It's almost 4 inches deep. And it's going to have this perimeter flange that you're going to use to mount them into their respective slots. The manufacturer went ahead and said, this is the cutout for that. So you'll have the cutouts there, 4 per side. This is the main skin here. So this is the 2-inch frame. So the idea behind it is that because this thing's almost 4 inches deep, this box would stick out to about here. But they wanted kind of a decorative step that have like this 2-inch deep. So these became kind of asymmetrical. You can see where the framing is kind of a challenge, where you can kind of see where there's a little bit of challenge where this is sort of asymmetrical. So we'll kind of go over how it all goes together here. So you have your 2-inch deep frame, which again, everything will be marked with a 2. And so that all kind of goes together. You're going to have those C-channel type frame pieces that mount to the front. And then you'll have your conventional kind of C-channel pieces all around here with these jigs. What that does is this gives a nice strong, per Watchfire's recommendations, where they want a nice strong frame. So you can see here, let me make it a blue. So you can see blue, that's where that flange is going to be for the Watchfire cabinet. So you'll just be going to be screwing directly through this flange into the framing of the 2-inch frame there. So it makes it nice and strong. So that's kind of how that is. You're going to have the conventional C-channel framing, except for the middle parts here will be that sort of framing that sits on top, and you attack it from the back. So that's the front part of the 2-inch frame. And then the back side is just sort of, same old, same old. Now you'll go ahead and put the 4-inch frame together. Again, everything's marked with a 4. You'll have A, B, C, D, E. Work your way over from left to right. And that's, this vertical, this vertical, this vertical. So you can see where it has the dog bone slots. These are where the cleats are in the frame. So it'll just lock in. Keep that in mind. And then you can see where this right here designates these yellow holes is where the 2-inch frame sits on top of the 4-inch frame. So the 4-inch frame has extra wide bars here to facilitate permanently mounting the 2-inch frame on top of this 4-inch frame. So you can see where this right here, this will let you have through holes similar to the monument signs you've done, where this will be a 0.625 on the face, and then it'll let you shoot a screw through. And so you can go ahead and lords and screw the 2-inch frame permanently to the 4-inch frame. Now, the 2-inch frame is going to mount directly to the 4-inch frame. Sometimes we do it on top of the skin, but in order to save weight, and also I needed to have the back end of this completely open because we needed to have room for the price changers to poke through. So you're going to take the 2-inch frame, weld it all together, get it ready, get the 4-inch frame, weld it all together, get it ready. And then you're going to go ahead and shoot through lords, use the clecos, and shoot through and screw the 2-inch frame to the 4-inch frame permanently. Then you're just going to dummy up with a couple of ears, these skins, just close up this little flap here. So they'll just go right up against the 2-inch frame, and then they'll stick out a little bit here because that will be the skin. That's kind of that's going to make the cabinet look like complete. So when you go to put the side skins on this bad boy, this whole cabinet's going to look like it's 22 inches wide, but it's going to be a sandwich of a 14-inch cabinet plus a 4-inch cabinet on both sides. And then when you go to put the skin on, nobody's going to really be able to tell the difference, and it's going to look like one big giant sign with a 2-inch step to have a little sexiness where the changers go. So that's kind of how it's going to go. So 2-inch frame, and then shoot studs. You're going to shoot studs on the back side of the skins for the 2-inch frame. And that is where these LED guys are going to go. So you're going to just rivet together these LED boxes, and they're going to have like sort of an external flange that's poking up. And you're going to sandwich the acrylic. So you're going to take the acrylic, slide it onto these studs, and then slide the LED tray onto the back of that. And then you're just going to sandwich it all together. I'm thinking you only need 4 Tetramaxes. You maybe put them kind of horizontally or kind of at a diagonal, or maybe vertically. You could maybe put like 6. That's all you need. And then just run leashes like crazy. You're just going to, each one of these will get, one of those, one of those, one of those. And then it just accumulate all your leashes. All your leashes are going to have to make their way through, make it down, and get down to the power box here. So do make sure you put long enough leashes to make connections. So, okay. So for the 2-inch frame, I think that's it. Like I say, just shoot studs, and then you can Lords. Once you get this frame permanently mounted to the 4-inch frame, then you can go ahead and put the skin on the front, and that'll cover up all these big holes. And then you can go ahead and skin on these side panels. And then once the 2 is attached to the 4 and everything's skinned, these are done. I take that back. You got to shoot your riv nuts. So just like the Cathedral City ones, these ones get the same thing. From the backside, squish goes to the inside of the sign. You're going to go ahead and shoot 5/16 riv nuts. They'll catch in all of the jigs. So that way, when we go to put these together, just like you did on the other one, you're going to reach in there. On this time, though, learning from what you guys said, I went ahead and put rovals. I stretched them out. So that way it should be a little easier for you guys. Plus, we're not going to be putting so much heat in the verticals and stuff like we did on the Cathedral Cities, where it kind of caused it to shrink. And you guys kind of had an issue putting those on. So hopefully these will be a little better for you. But it's essentially, like I say, just borrowing heavily from Cathedral City. So I guess that's the 2x2 frames. I think that's it for that. Again, just watch out for everything marked 2 goes to 2, and everything marked 4 goes to 4. 2-inch cabinet, Lords and screws to the 4-inch cabinet. Your corner jigs, keep an eye out. That's my new little thing there. For the 4-inch, you'll see this little notch here. There's not really any other way to put these, but that might help you kind of see how these go in, because it's going to be kind of a jig soup. You're going to have a lot of jigs. So just watch your 4s, watch your directions, but the little notch piece there should go to the outside, just like you see there. And this one's going to go to the outside there. So, and you got your A, B, C, and D's. And then the back side is these ones. So this is only for the front, and these are for the back, just like Cathedral City. It's very asymmetrical, which can make it kind of tough, but hopefully you guys can hang in. Same thing with 2. All your jigs will have 2 on them, plus they'll have these big holes for clearance. And your backside jigs are different than your front side jigs, so keep that in mind. But that's it for those boxes or frames. So let's go over the final stuff. Kind of wrapping it up here. Let's go over the power box real quick. So the power box is going to sit in this lower area, borrowing heavily from Loma Linda curve signs. It's just going to tuck up right up against the door. Switch will be accessible. It's asymmetrical, but it's all riveted together like we do. But this side's a little deeper. So the end piece has the SW on it, and it's for the switch. So when you go to put these together, these are not quite symmetrical. You can see where it has a little cutout notch on this side versus the other side. So this will be power out and secondary out towards the back, and the front side will be there. Switch comes in from the back side there like we do. Don't forget to catch, when you go to put these rivets in, don't forget to catch these guys here for the feet for mounting. These will be 1/4 20 riv nuts. Just like Loma Linda, you're just going to go ahead and riv nut the frame part there, and then it just sits on top of those. I went ahead and made these symmetrical. Go ahead and, if you want to go and put riv nuts in both sides, fine. We're really only going to have one power supply box. So you could sort of just choose, but I didn't know, this can go either way on the pole. I'm going to leave that joke right there, but this can go back and forth. So this could essentially go over here. So instead of trying to make it dedicated to one side, if you want to put riv nuts in both sides, that's fine. Install is going to bring power into one side as it is. They're just going to pick a side. So you're just going to come in from the bottom there. And these little access points here will be for them to bring primary, because we're going to have the changing boxes up here, the price changers. They're going to have to bring primary up through all the way. So that's provisioned for that. So they can bring it up into here. So anyway, so that's the power box. This frame here, a little different. The part that goes where this sits, this frame piece actually tucks inside. There are no jigs for this piece here. So you're just going to Cleco it in place, and you're just going to tack it to the frame itself. You're going to come under here and just kind of tack it around. And you could even tack it on the front side here. You just tack it to the frame itself. Again, no jigs, just slide it on in, Cleco it in spot, and just tack it as you see fit. Just saving a little time for jigs there. Kind of left out the bottom frame. This is the same as the 4 and 2 inch frames. I just did it over on this page rather than the other page, but it's the same thing. You have a face and a back. Make sure you have those going the right way, because the holes and stuff for the skins and everything has to line up. So make sure your face is this side, your back's that side. You have the same jigs. These jigs will get the 5/16 riv nuts, the 5/16 steel riv nut treatment. Which actually goes right here. Yeah, so riv nuts will go here. These ones are marked face. So face means for this little bottom guy here. You're going to go ahead and shoot all your studs for these guys for the push throughs as well. And then just go ahead and lords these faces to this frame and you're done. So, and these are just meant to be removable from the bottom. You're going to go ahead and do 063 LED light trays go there. And they are just going to frap directly to this frame here. So I have it kind of laid out on this cutout here. Where is it? There it is. Yeah. So you can see where this green right here, we can go ahead and just make it magenta. You can see where it goes around, and it's going to catch these different frame pieces. So that's how you're going to put that on. So once you get all this taken care of, get the power in there and everything, you can go ahead and shoot these on and run the leashes in. And then install can take these in and out as necessary to be able to access the bolts and everything. So you might want to talk to install. You might want to just leave these out. And then, that's kind of after they get all this attached to the pole and everything and access the power, then they can go ahead and shoot these on and tie them up. So it might be easier to save them a step from having to disassemble it in the field. So when it goes out. So that's the bottom little 4-inch frame, same as the top ones. But I think that's about it. Power supply box, that's that. The pole, so here's your cut sheet. You're just going to need one piece of 2x2 by 1/8 inch, 60 inch. That's for the lift point. You're just going to slide it through. Don't forget to trap it in there and tack it up just like you did for Loma Linda. And then this is the steel pole. This is per YJ. Have it all laid out there. Just overall 162. 58 in the ground, 104 poking out. So, and it's the same 5-inch pipe that you got for Loma Linda. So, but I think that's it. Again, questions, answers, just hit me up with anything like that. But otherwise, just take it slow, smooth as fast.